welcome back. This is part 2 of our series on Disability Pride Month on the disabled killers and criminals. I am only picking physically disabled people because if I went and expanded it to mental illness, then I basically would just be doing all serial killers, and yeah, that's everybody does that. So here we go. We are going all the way to Japan today. And we are talking about Seisaku Nakamura. And I have actually not heard of this person until today. He was a deaf teenager in 1930s, 40s wartime Japan. He killed 11 people in the space of 18 months. The bulk of his 11 people. He killed 2 in 1938 at 14 years old. And the rest of them, the other 9, he killed in the space of 18 months, from 1941 to 1942. The reason he was able to get away with this was the police, first of all, were trying to cover up anything that wasn't related to basically wartime efforts and activities. Any crimes that were not, related to that, they didn't want public panic. So they covered up the first initial murders in 1941 because they did not want the public to panic, and they suspected Seisaku for a little bit, but they also were under the impression that a deaf person couldn't possibly be responsible for these heinous murders. Now, his weapon of choice was a knife. He was obsessed with murder movies, and specifically the ones done with katanas. I don't know why, but he really liked katanas. Now, a lot of the information on him is either lost or deliberately covered up by the Japanese authorities. But we know that he was not accepted by his parents. They had 7 kids. He was 6th of 7, and he was born deaf. And his parents considered him a burden on the family and did not extend the same love, care, and affection to him that they did to their other able-bodied kids. And he was basically like abandoned as a kid and forced to grow up on the outside of his family, and received no socialization skills, received none of the things you would expect a child to receive from their parents. And then also on top of that, he was isolated because of his deafness. Of course, we know back in the 40s, in any kind of culture, any disability, there wasn't much support for. So he was basically left to his own devices. And this is basically the poster child for maladaptive sociopathy, all the psychological buzzwords. He is the poster child for what goes wrong when you do not provide care, love, and affection to a child. And then you add in the isolation of not being able to hear, and not being able to get the support for that, and you have a recipe for disaster. Add on top of that he got excellent marks in school, meaning he was very intelligent. He was basically just locked in his mind and left to his own devices. And that's no excuse for killing 11 people and doing it by 19 years of age, and then bringing so much dishonor upon your family that your father commits seppuku. But I'm just saying, he's a really good portrait of what happens when you do not care for your child. I'm not even going to say with disabilities, just when you do not care for your child, period. Just he is a very good example of what not to do when you have a child. But then add in the deaf part, and it's just like, between his family treating him like garbage and the police trying to cover up his first murders. He even attacked his own family and killed one of his brothers, and his family was too scared to say anything. So between the police and his family, had they just done everything differently, their whole town might not have been ripped apart. Their father wouldn't have died in dishonor. Like, neighbor wouldn't have started to distrust neighbor. The police force wouldn't be under complete distrust afterward. It was just a complete tragedy. I'm noticing a theme of tragedy with these disabled killers. And I'm not saying that we should feel sorry for them. I'm just saying the situations are just so sad, and needlessly so. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that things could have been different if his family had treated him differently? Do you think he was just born evil? What do you think? I will put a link to the YouTube video that I got the information from. They pulled their information from a Medium article that Medium wanted me to create an account for and pay, but I'm not doing that. But the YouTube video is, I recognize the beginning part of the article that I could read, so I will put the YouTube video that I watched in the description. I'll also put the Wikipedia link to Seisaku Nakamura. Let me know what you think about this case in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.